BBC Radio Gloucestershire with Chris Baxter. Now, you've heard of Paddington Bear, you've heard of Rupert the Bear and Yogi Bear too, but now make way for the new kid on the block. He's called Max Bear, and he's a local lad too. He's the creation of a husband and wife team from Stroud. He's currently appearing on weekday mornings on Channel 4. I'll give you the time in a bit. Brian and Helena Panks, they met at art college, and Brian's now head of the animation course at the University of Gloucestershire. Well, I went to meet the pair of them, or should I say the three of them, their cuddly creation Max.
Is everybody ready? Then off we go.
My name's Helena. I write the scripts for Max Bear.
My name's Brian Panks. I do the animation and production for Max Bear.
So this is like a husband and wife team. I'm in your little cottage, which is in Rodborough in Stroud, and this is the sort of modern equivalent of a cottage industry, isn't it?
Well, I suppose it is, because everything can be done on a computer these days, and you could just be in a tiniest room, so it's ideal.
Well, Tubby, I'm glad I've cheered you up at any rate.
Oh, Max, your new teeth are just terrible.
He started off as a sketch, which Brian printed onto a T-shirt at the time, and the Japanese bought into that because they all love teddy bears, and then somehow or other we developed it into very short rag book stories with the Dean's Rag Book Company, and then I expanded the stories, and now they've turned into little sort of adventures.
And it's great, so exciting that they're on Channel 4. I mean, that's a big deal, isn't it?
It is, actually. We don't really appreciate how well we've done, I think, but there aren't still that many terrestrial channels on, so to be on one of them is pretty good, I think.
Good morning, Lord Flanbury. May I say how well you're looking after your holiday?
Hello, Max.
So, Brian, tell me about the animation side of this, and is it something you'd been doing before computers came along to do this for you?
No, not really. We both met at art school, so we've always drawn. We were both fine artists. And when we first took Max Bear to Channel 4 back in '98, they commissioned a Christmas special, which was all done in stills, so it wasn't animated at all, but it was a fully scripted soundtrack. And it took a few years to really develop my own animation style, and we sort of built and built and built, and it seems to have paid off.
We're just watching a little clip of this now, and how do you make the mouth look like it's really speaking the words?
Well, we've got a small program, and I discovered that you can actually, with this program, you can open a soundtrack, then you can choose various mouths, and you can make new mouths.
Yeah, we've literally got pictures of mouths half open, fully open, closed, and you're just matching those to the sound.
That's right.
Have you found anything out yet? It could be any of those bears. The thought of all those...
So, each episode is how long?
11 minutes.
And how long does it take you to put one episode together?
Well, Helena writes the scripts over a series of weeks, and then we record the script. So once the scripts have been recorded and we've edited the sound together, my part of it really, when we get the storyboard done, which we do together, is probably a concentrated 2 weeks. But I've been doing this last series in between my work at the university, so it's sort of been probably 3 or 4 weeks per episode.
Are you sometimes up till God knows what hour of the morning doing it?
Up late and up early. It's been a quite a labour of love.
That's why I'm buying them.
Oh, absolute heaven.
Animation's probably got less complicated because of the early animations were really quite sophisticated when it comes to things like the very early Popeyes. They got more and more simple as they went on into the 60s. Technology has allowed anyone to create animation, so a lot of the traditional skills are lost.
I must be careful, mustn't I? Your mother's always asking me how I make those, and I only make them on very special occasions. So I must keep that recipe a secret.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's using high-tech stuff, but there's something quite nice and low-tech about the look of it. Do you know what I mean? It reminds me of Paddington and some of the things I watched as a child.
Yeah, we want that old feel. In fact, quite a few people have said, I'm sure I've seen this before. I've seen this when I was a child. Well, of course they didn't, because it wasn't around. But we want that old... It sort of looks like traditional animation in a simple sense.
Yeah.
But it's sophisticated writing. It's fully lip-synced, so all the mouths are really bang on, and the stories they look classic, but they're really quite modern. They're talking about modern issues, and they're talking about ordinary issues. That's the fun thing about it.
Good morning, boys. Got something nice in the bag?
They're big and red and squashy.
Quite a brave thing to do in a way, because there are so many different bears on the market, aren't there? You've got Paddington Bear, you've got endless numbers of bears that have been animated and used in things. So how did you make this stand out?
Quite a lot of bears are sort of cutesy, aren't they? And Max is definitely not cute. He's a bit like a mixture between James Bond and Laurel or Hardy, really. So he's sort of cool and sophisticated on one side, and then he's a bumbling fool the next minute. He's an adult bear with sort of like childlike personality behind it.
I believe your brother writes the music soundtrack to the series.
Yes, he's Matt Potter, lives in Cheltenham, and he's self-taught and tinkers around, and he's quite a talented man, I suppose. Hate to admit it, but...
So another Gloucestershire connection, that's nice.
Yes, all local, really, absolutely all local.
The backdrop is mainly Stroud High Street, some of the shops, and the landscapes are based on the landscapes around here, and there's a key element of one of the episodes in particular, which is a fort, which we use for Flanbury Fort, the village. We use Rodborough Fort. So it's lovely, and it's the whole local thing. We have a lot of local actors as well working in there. There's Anna Carris Wilson, she lives in Stroud. Greg Banks lives just up near the fort, actually, not far away.
Well, that was very satisfying, don't you think? We found them ourselves.
One of the really exciting things is you've got an amazing actor doing the voiceover for this, immediately recognisable.
Yeah, Tom Baker, he was absolutely perfect for the job. And in fact, when Helena sent him the scripts in the first place, he said he was born to play Max, and if we didn't give him the job, he'd change his name to Max Baker as a cry of disappointment.
Did he say that?
Yeah, his wife said also, you've got to do this, Tom, because he's just like you, he's adorable, but an arse. You can edit that out.
No, I like that.
But it's true.
That's great.
I know what you mean, Tubby.
Have you met him?
Oh yes, we've recorded him in Stroud. Helena's cooked for him twice, and he's just a lovely man. Really, really good to his fans as well. He'll give them all the time they need. Lovely man.
There's a large casserole in my kitchen. I cooked it this morning before I went out. What do you say, Tubby? Shall I pop in and get it?
He's quite a posh bear. He's because he's got Tom Baker's voice. He's a bit of a foodie as well, isn't he? He's really into his grub.
Yes, and I suppose that's a reflection of me, because I'm quite into food, and I've cooked from quite a young age, and I do think it's very important for children to know or have some knowledge of cooking when they're little, and then hopefully they'll get back to it when they're older. And I think that's maybe one of the problems these days, is that some children have never ever experienced seeing how things are cooked, and they don't have that interest, and then therefore they're not in control of their diets.
Mix the flour and eggs to a paste, shove it through the machine, and hey presto, a nice elastic dough. And now to make the spaghetti. Couldn't be simpler.
What a voice that man has. That's Tom Baker, one of the voices of Max. Well, he's the voice of Max Bear. There's lots of other characters in the series as well. If you want to watch it, it's back on Channel 4 tomorrow morning at 6:10 a.m. But of course, if you've got Channel 4 Plus 1, you can watch it an hour later. And there's a website as well for Max Bear. If you want to go and find out more about him, watch some of the little movies, get the latest news, the website is maxbear.com. maxbear.com. Lovely couple that put him together. Brian and Helena Panks live in Stroud, in Rodborough and Stroud. It's a great creation, and I'm sure it's going to go from strength to strength. I know they've got more plans for the future. You'll hear about it first on BBC Radio Gloucestershire, of course.
Mark Cummings at breakfast.